This is Fieldsports Channel News. The antis are at it again, incorrectly claiming that the major supermarkets are selling game meat contaminated with lead. Anti-shooting pressure group Wild Justice has published figures claiming dangerous levels of lead residue are in pheasants and partridges stocked by supermarket giants Waitrose and Marks & Spencer. That's despite the forensic care taken by game suppliers to the supermarkets to prevent lead going anywhere near their game birds. All birds shot for supermarkets come from one major supplier, whom we have not named to prevent attention from the antis. He told Fieldsports News Today that the process of harvesting game birds for major retailers is so scientific it's impossible for any lead residue to be in them. All are shot using steel or non-toxic ammunition. The chutes where birds come from are also strictly monitored and checked, with steel cartridges supplied. Meanwhile, a leading chef believes Wild Justice's latest claim could help encourage more people to eat wild meat now they know they can buy it on the high street.
You say it's a bad thing that he's talking about it. It's also a good thing that he's highlighting the fact that game is being sold in supermarkets. So thanks very much, Mr. Packham. I appreciate that, because we want people to know that you can go down to your local M&S and Waitrose and buy game, which is brilliant.
The Scottish Government has committed to give another £3 million to the RSPB. It's for the RSPB-led Cairngorms Capercaillie project, and it's cost the taxpayer and lottery funds millions already and seen the birds' numbers crash to just a few hundred. The RSPB is often opposed to predator control, and the new plan does not allow for the shooting of predators, even though Nature Scot predicts that Britain's largest game bird will be extinct within the next 30 years at the present rate of decline. Nature Scot say the plan includes encouraging pine martens and badgers away from nesting areas by offering alternative food sources elsewhere. It admits that predator control in the past has resulted in more capercaillie. The new plan is in place until the year 2030, with a contingency to stock birds from outside Scotland into the Cairngorms National Park from elsewhere in Europe, if it fails. In common with other nature recovery plans by the RSPB, this plan includes no targets for re-establishing capercaillie in the Scottish Highlands. Meanwhile, Scotland's gamekeepers have been told they must lift all snares used for predator control by the 25th of November 2024. Hopes that the Scottish Government would delay the introduction of new legislation about the use of snares to trap foxes and other predators threatening ground nesting birds has been dashed. The ban was announced as part of the Wildlife Management and Muirburn Bill, but no date had previously been given about when that would come into force. The date was revealed in a reply to a question in the Scottish Parliament this week. The announcement's been met with dismay by keepers, landowners and countryside groups.
This is a huge loss, and it's really surprising that the Scottish Government have taken the step to ban this method of trapping, because they have biodiversity targets to reach, and we are the people that would generally help them to reach those targets. We don't want to see the end of any species, whether it's the capercaillie or whether it's the curlew, and banning any method of trapping, particularly one that has had so many advances in welfare practices over the years, is going to be completely devastating for rural Scotland.
Queen guitarist Sir Brian May has quit as the Vice President of the RSPCA. He says they're no longer looking after animal welfare, and he made the announcement on his Instagram page. He says he can no longer be part of the animal charity because of the RSPCA's Assured scheme, which he says is failing. It pledges to remove cruelty from farming practices. The rock musician has been a celebrity VP of the charity for the past 12 years. He says he feels the RSPCA hasn't adequately investigated claims of poor standards of animal welfare on farms that are members of the Assured scheme. His resignation came in the form of an open letter on social media, in which he said he couldn't, in all conscience, remain a figurehead of an organisation while the RSPCA avoids its responsibility to put its house in order. Money from anglers who buy a rod licence is to be put towards a new initiative. The Angling Trust has announced there's £100,000 in its new fighting fund to help fishing clubs, fisheries and other angling-related organisations deal with the threat from invaders, such as the American signal crayfish. There's a maximum of £5,000 on offer per club, or £10,000 for joint applications to fund training courses and buy equipment to deal with the invaders. The days of the wolf being a specially protected animal in Europe could be coming to an end. The European Commission has passed a motion to downgrade wolves from their categorisation as a specially protected species. It follows a huge rise in the wolf population in Europe and a series of attacks on animals, which included a wolf killing a pony owned by European Union President Ursula von der Leyen. The proposal to change category will be debated further by the EU before any changes are made. Farmers across Europe are asking for the right to be able to protect their livestock from a growing number of packs. The Game and Wildlife Conservation Trust has announced new plans to relocate black grouse across the Pennines. The trust will move birds from a strong population in the North Pennines to the North York Moors, where they've not been seen since the mid-1800s. It hopes the project, which will cost £164,000, will boost the population by introducing them into specific habitats. The grouse will be captured and relocated in darkness. The GWCT say some of the birds will be fitted with radio transmitters so it can track them. GWCT research shows that black grouse are among birds which benefit from gamekeepered moorlands. The owners of the proposed Hinkley Point C power station have been told they must release classified data about how they plan to protect wildlife. The French-owned company EDF has announced it wants to build a new salt marsh near the Somerset site to provide refuge for migratory fish as part of the nuclear power plant operation. Now, Fish Legal has won a ruling with the Information Commissioner's Office demanding transparency. In its initial application, EDF proposed to install a revolutionary underwater audio system to deter fish from entering the reactor, but there are doubts that EDF will go ahead with this. Scientists claim without it, the reactor could kill 2 fish a minute as they're sucked into the cooling system. Critics say the company want a cheaper alternative because the Hinkley Point project is billions of pounds over budget. And finally, the wife of rock star Tommy Lee had to step in when a coyote attempted to snatch one of her dogs in broad daylight. This video clip from the doorbell camera in Tommy and Britney Furlan's home in California shows the coyote grabbing their pet dog Nima from the side of the pool and running off. Britney chases the coyote away and later recovers the dog after pursuing the coyote as it jumped over a wall. The 61-year-old drummer from the heavy metal band Motley Crue appears shortly afterwards, having heard his wife screaming at the coyote. Britney later said of her dog, "Thank goodness she's a little bit fat because he couldn't make it over the wall with her." You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.